Raw Info Conference Series hosted by Knowledge for Life. Just to explain a little bit about Knowledge for Life. Knowledge for Life is a non-profit 501c3 organization that seeks to bring relevant news and information to the black community. You can find us on www.know4life, that's number4.info, or www.know4life.org. We're going to be today talking about the assassination of the black male image. Right. We're going to be touching on who, when, and why there's an assassination of the black male image. One of the things that we know that any time that people are facing persecution or annihilation or any type of oppression, oftentimes the oppressor, if we're talking about Pittsburgh or Palestine, United States or Russia, will look to first off degenerate the image that society has of those people.
Come on.
Oftentimes one of the reasons they do this is so then people feel like they actually are doing them a favor by removing people or killing them, or as we know with black men, putting them in the criminal justice system. So without further ado, I would like to welcome and introduce to you and make others aware of Dr. Dana Marie Patterson. She is the director of the Boikia Center, Boikia Black Resource Center here at Wright State University. So if we could please welcome her with a round of applause.
All right.
Abargani, I bring you greetings on behalf of the Boikia Black Cultural Resources Center, where I, Dr. Dana Marie Patterson, am the director and have been for the past 3.5 years. The Boikia Center has been a place that provides a variety of special programs, activities, and student services that celebrate diverse African cultural identities while fostering a lasting friendship among all people. From its opening in 1971, the focus of the Boikia Center has been to serve the Wright State University community, building awareness, harmony, reconciliation, and love by sharing information about the people and the cultures of the African diaspora. The original statement of goals for the Boikia Center are still maintained even today. Those goals include promoting an understanding of the cultures and the heritage of the people of the African diaspora. Make easily accessible in one central location a variety of resource materials on the black experience. Encourage research about black peoples and aid in the resolution of problems that have resulted from racial discrimination and prejudice. And finally, to work for the advancement of African American creative arts. It is indeed our pleasure as a center that is known under the umbrella of the Multicultural Centers, along with the Women's Resource Center and the Asian Hispanic Native American Center here at Wright State University, and providing a climate that is supporting the success of all students. We're very pleased to have been doing that for over 40 years now, and we welcome this conference as a part of our speaker series. Thank you very much for being here and joining us in this very important conversation.
We also want to let people know what the Raw Info Conference Series is. And what we do here at Knowledge for Life is we have a monthly conference series. Every month we have a conference series here at Wright State at the Boikia Center where we focus on issues that are relevant to the black community. Of course, this month we're talking about the assassination of the black male image. Now, for many people, this may be a new topic. For many people, oftentimes this issue has been sensationalized in the media with the issue with Trayvon Martin, even here in Dayton with Dante Price, and even last year with the killing of Colin English. But what many people don't know is that the assassination of black male image did not start last year, didn't start in 1999, it didn't even start in 1900. It actually started over 400 years ago, during the beginning of the Holocaust of enslavement. And one of the things that we realize is that in order for people to be okay with the idea of enslaving African foreparents, is that they had to paint the picture of us as being savages, jungles, cannibals. You see, so that then people felt that they was actually doing us the same favor by saving us and enslaving us and converting us to Christianity. So I'm not going to take up too much time, but I do want to make people aware that there actually was a book written by Dr. Earl Afari Hutchinson titled The Assassination of the Black Male Image. You go on Amazon. If you live here locally in the Dayton area, you probably could go to Brother Abdul's shop actually ask him to order this for you. And it talks about very detailed when the assassination started, how it's taking place, and actually in every form of American life, you see, we see a cover of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They try to assassinate his image. We see Clarence Thomas, he kind of did it to himself, but we're not going to go there. But, you know, Tupac, Michael Jackson, so on and so forth. And as you see, is out of all of our great male leaders, oftentimes they always are seen in the media as a criminal. They even called Gandhi a criminal, wanted to throw him in jail, and he was a man of peace. So we have to realize that this enemy that we're dealing with today always will paint people that are looking to help us as someone who is bad. I'm going to close up, but I remember Malcolm said that anytime you have a great leader, African-American leader or African leader that's getting something done, they'll call a man responsible. But the reason I call him responsible is because they know that they can't trust him to actually work on their behalf.
Right.
So with all that being said, I want to introduce our first speaker. That is Dr. Shaka Saye Bambata Dolo. He is the author of the book, The Genesis of the Bible. So if we could, please welcome him with a warm round of applause. He's also the author of the book, African Marriages versus Slave Marriage and the Destruction of Black American Family Values. That's very important because oftentimes when we talk about the assassination of the black male image, we're also talking about the assassination of the black family.
Yes, say that.
We have to remember that. We have to remember that.
Yes,
Let me say that one more time. When we're talking about the assassination of the black male image, we're also talking about the assassination of the black family.
Right. Keep it real.
75% of children are growing up without a father in their home.
Right.
And oftentimes we see that leads to what? Drugs, dropping out of school, prison, so on and so forth. So even the enemy knows the importance of having fathers in the household. So we want to make our people aware of the importance. Oftentimes, I don't know if anyone saw that movie this weekend. What was it called? Acting Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. You know, when we talk about the assassination of the black male image, I even saw it in the movie. There was 4 brothers in the movie. One didn't have nothing going for himself, had no initiative. Another was a mama's boy. The other one was happily divorced and cracked jokes all the time, was being beat up by his wife. Then the other brother was a player. Now I can say for myself that I was not represented in that movie. And I'm sure that none of the brothers on this panel or even in the audience were represented in that movie. But people that don't know us would think that, hey, that's who they are. This is how it works. It affects relationships. So if someone in Hong Kong, someone in Singapore, someone in Norway has perception of the black male in America before they even meet us. But with all that said, I now want to leave some time for our brother, Dr. Dolo.
Just a Shaka. Shaka is
all right.
Okay. Thank you, my brother, for that beautiful introduction. First of all, I want to give thanks to God for allowing us to be here this evening. I don't know why they put me, the more controversial person, first. I understand. But I also want to thank for being so kind to invite us. And after that brother had given so fine an introduction, and welcome to this forum. And it is indeed very nice to see our lovely brothers and sisters, and the white brothers too. Okay, I just have a little bit thing that I am going to say. I know because of the lack of time, I didn't really have that opportunity to put everything together like I usually do.
All right.
But I will try to do my best and read a little bit thing that I have written for this particular forum. Like the brother said, as I wrote this book, it came out in 2005. We cannot really talk about the black family without talking about marriage, African marriage, because that's the foundation of any, especially the African cultural foundation of any institution that we have. Marriage is where everything really starts, you know, and if you read my work, you will understand what I am saying. But instead of making speech on this, let me go and start and see where we go from here. Having said that, I want us to understand all black people in America were considered as coons, tongue, sambo, mani, pickaninny, and domesticated animals. The philosophy and theology of Jim Crow were more than white-only signs. It was a way of life for both black and white Americans. The condition which reduced the black man into a racial caste system of inferiority complex from birth to death. The institution of chattel slavery, I'm going to talk slow because I have an accent, so as you can get to tell. The institution of chattel slavery portrayed the black man and woman of America as tongues and money incapable of taking care of ourselves or standing up for ourselves, and men and women capable of respect from other men. We were considered as buffoons who were always loyal to our oppressor, thus contended with our oppressive condition as captive slaves of the white race. The tongue were always smiling with wide eyes like a monkey. He or she was satisfied with his or her captive condition as a slave. The tongue worked very hard for the master, but would not similarly work hard for himself or for another black person. And some of you know people like that.
That's right. That's right.
These were your cook, butler, porter, widows, and house nigger, of which Brother Malcolm X eloquently spoke about years ago, such as Justice Clarence Thomas and O.J. Simpson and others. The tongue, unlike a coon, was portrayed as dependable nigger who were always eager to please the master, such as O.J. Simpson, as I said earlier, and others. There are Negroes in America and in Africa, some of whom are members of my own family, who are in the state of denying of white racism and supremacy in the name of the Jesus' faith. The exploitative, imperialistic God of the white race, created in the Middle Ages of Europe, this is what this book is about, in the Middle Ages of Europe by the Greco-Roman Catholic Church, the mother church of all practicing denominations, such as Methodist, such as Lutheran Church, such as all your other churches, all then derived from the Roman Catholic Church. Jesus is the God in whose name that the blacks were enslaved and man brought under psychological, religious, and theological control. Oh wow, the African guy must be crazy. He doesn't believe in Jesus? Oh my God. African Americans, most of us, minds exist in a state of psychological and religious coma because of the slave master religion, and usually aim at blocking important information which could have helped awaken our captive mind from the centuries of our psycho-religious decentralization. This information is considered a threat to our psychological and religious health. These are fragile Negroes who usually end up blocking from their conscious awareness the philosophy of white racism and supremacy. They hear nothing and see nothing, even though they themselves are victims of white racism and supremacy. These Negroes fail to realize that before they were humanized by modern system of European imperialism, they were categorized as 3/5 of men and domesticated animals. There are black men in Africa and in America who need a white woman and a white woman to boost their self-esteem. The white female of America is now psychologically and sexually fascinated with the black man because in time past, her white fathers forbid intimate contact between she and the savage African, whom she has always lost in her heart and soul for his powerful flesh. This is only true because when one history and culture, religion, and God are stripped away from him as an early age, subserviency is usually the order of the day. That particular person doesn't know where he is or where he is going. The slave master of America cultivated within the minds of both whites and black the philosophy of what Brother Stewart called Negrophobia. That is the fear of black people. You know, and y'all know what I'm saying is true. Negrophobia. And therefore black self-hatred. This created within the African American society the psychosocial stratification mechanism of how we see ourselves and react to our condition, resulting into the desire by many of us to lighten ourselves into whiteness, such as Brother Michael Jackson, Tommy David Jr., and others that you know. And you know some of these people yourself. Albert Stewart once said in his article, Dracula as a bloodsucker, which I'll also talk about here. Negrophobia is a fear of black men that exists within the mind of the white race without an apparent danger. White people are scared of us regardless. When they see me coming down, they say, God, that nigga coming down there. You know, they go other way, even though I haven't done anything. Right. They did everything to me, right? Right. Okay, negrophobia was psychologically and religiously indoctrinated into the minds of both whites and black during the chattel slavery and Jim Crow's era. It was a reaction to conditional, emotional responses to white racism, which is currently practiced by all or most forms of white institutions and mass media. Let us understand that white America are like the vampire. They exist by sucking the blood of the helpless black victims, the weak and the powerless. The blacks are there because we have been drained of our blood by the whites for centuries, and this is why we are poor and collectively dead. The whites have always sucked and drained black bodies into lifelessness. Blood is the soul of life. And if you lose enough blood, you will die. The feeding habits of the white vampire on the blood of the black is relentless. The vampire cannot exist without feeding on a helpless victim. Blood sucking is part of the white supremacist system and racism of the world. Blood sucking is a part of the white man existing. He has always sucked black people's blood in order to live, but he make us feel like we are the one that is depending on him. The people who have accepted the reality of their desperation under the philosophy of Count Dracula, the white control the economic, political, and geo-military system of the color world through the controlling of the people of color's land and its natural resources and raw material, such as what happened in Libya, North Africa, with Colonel Gaddafi, when they killed him to take over his oil under the disguise that they're going to liberate the people of Libya. I haven't been liberated. Come on, man. These vampires exist on the suffering of the black. Are they introduced crack cocaine, crack pipes, syphilis, AIDS, guns and bullets, and other dirty drugs into the black community of America and means of black containment through black on black crimes. African America is not blamed for our own condition, independent of the transatlantic African slave trade, the African helico, chattel slavery, and the legacy of Jim Crow. The brother just talked. Yeah, the brother just talked about. You just talk about the African Holocaust. We must further understand that the white supremacist system of the world and racism are embedded in the psyche of every white American. So much so that every member of the white race knows which side of the street each needs to stand when waiting for the intellectual, economic, cultural, historical, social, political bus, so to speak. The slave code through the Constitution of the United States of America still serves as precondition for judging black male behavior by white America. In the American society, whenever the white person kills a black person, the accused killer is always showing a white justice, reaffirming his or her confidence in the justice system of America, which always finds him or her innocent killing a black person. This was self-defense for walking down the street of America while black, because he looks big, armed, and suspicious. This is a legacy of chattel slavery and the reality of us black men of America, regardless of where we came from, who or how the skin tone of our complexion may look. We all are suffering from the same man.
Yes, sir.
I will stop here. I said my time is up.
Shaka another round of applause. Have strong representation of the truth.